everybody. My camera, there I am. Camera disappeared. Welcome to your week 5 overview video. I'm going to kind of breeze through this video pretty quickly. So I may talk a little quickly, but know that it's a video, so you can pause it anytime that you want to or review it anytime that you need to. So for week 5, you have a few tasks. There's one whole chapter in your Carnes and Beam book that I want you to read, and that's chapter 17. It's on mentoring. And then you're going to read a few selected pages at 492 to 494 that's on bibliotherapy and cinematherapy. And then starting on page 528, some ideas from Carnes and Beam about leadership. There are a few lectures. There's one lecture and just a few videos as part of week 5. The lecture is about differentiation strategies, part 2. So we're just continuing more differentiation strategies, which will be really important for the next slide, where I go over the instructional portfolio. Instructional methods portfolio, guidelines for that week 6 project or assignment. And then you also have a few other videos. One is on Socratic Seminar, and then there are some videos that are a part of your discussion week or discussion board. I'll get my words right here, I promise. So 2 primary assignments for this week. You have 2 discussion boards. So the first discussion board is kind of our general integrating the content, where you're going to be either choosing to watch a speech that is given by Steve Jobs or a speech that's given by J.K. Rowling and following some guiding questions there. Again, you'll be assigned to one of 3 groups for your discussion. I have mixed up the groups this time, so you will likely be in there with new people. And then you're going to take some time for the second discussion board to review the competitions and special programs review page, or that module that you and all of your classmates uploaded to. So I will be going through and reviewing those and grading those, but it's also your task this week is to go in and review that. And there's some guiding questions on that discussion board as well. Some main questions that I want you to answer and post to that. So both of those discussion posts are graded. Now, the other thing that I want you to start doing is to start looking at the big assignment that is due for week 6, and that is your instructional methods portfolio. So I have uploaded some documents within Canvas in the module, but I'm going to go over some of that here just on my screen. So the instructional methods portfolio that's due week 6, in general, you're going to be demonstrating your ability to create lesson plans that have differentiated activities for your gifted learners. So for this instructional methods portfolio, you're going to choose just one unit of study. So I'm thinking of a unit of study as being like Unit 4, Systems of Equations. If I'm looking at, like 8th grade algebra, you might have a unit of study that lasts 3 weeks. You might have a unit of study that lasts 6 weeks. It doesn't really matter how long that unit of study lasts, but I do want to see like one kind of cohesive package of a unit. Now, with that unit, you're just going to select 3 of the lessons or 3 of the lesson plans that you have in that unit to provide, to differentiate, and therefore to help better serve your population of gifted students in your classroom. And so you can pick a unit that you just did last week. You can pick the unit of study that you are in with your students right now. You can pick the unit you're going to do with your students in January. You can pick a unit of any unit you want with any subject area or content area that you like. So general overview, this is a 100-point assignment. You're going to give me a short little brief unit overview that just kind of situates myself or helps situate the reader as to what your unit is about. And then you're going to give the 3 more detailed lesson plans of the 3 units within that unit of study that you are differentiating. There's going to be a short reflection at the end, and then, of course, a points sign for grammar, usage, mechanics, and punctuation. So let me show you these 2 documents first. I'm going to first show you the guidelines. So this guidelines document, you lost my picture there. I'll kind of exit out. I'll just zoom in. This guidelines document is going to just give you an overall primer to the whole project itself. So you're developing, again, 3 lesson plans. And within these 3 lesson plans, you're going to have to use 3 different methods. So you've learned a lot of methods for differentiating so far. Some of these in week 4, some of these are going to be in week 5. So for example, we looked at independent study, we looked at simulations, problem-based learning. Week 5, you're going to get into questioning, bibliotherapy and cinematherapy, etc. So choose 3 different ones. Can't use the same one for each of them. Review a little bit of differentiation. So you're looking at the classroom elements. Are you differentiating the content that the students are doing, the process that the students are doing, the product that they are doing, or the environment in which they're in? And you're doing that according to the student's traits. Are you differentiating the content based on readiness, or are you differentiating the content based on interest, or based on the student's learning profile? So again, feel free to review all of that information. We keep bringing up that Tomlinson graphic there because it's a really good graphic, and I hope that you have found it helpful. So here's another outline of your portfolio. So your unit overview, you're going to provide an overview of the unit of study. You're also going to give me a brief scope and sequence, and I'll show you what that looks like. The 3 lesson plans, 25 points each. So you have 3 of those for 75 points total. Essentially, all of these elements are going to be included in your lesson plan. And I have a template for you. So as long as you follow the template, all of these will be accounted for. But here are additional insights or additional descriptions of what those are. So your differentiation rationale, the element that you're differentiating, the student trait that you are addressing, an explanation or definition of your targeted strategy, and so on, setting, etc. So you can read through that. I won't read it word for word here in this video. There's a short reflection where I want you to respond to the following questions in just 1 to 2 paragraphs, and then on your grammar. So let me show you what the template looks like. So I gave it to you in a Word document, so you should be able to download it and open it up and just type right into this document. So the first item up is your unit overview. So you'll give me the title of the unit, the description of the unit. So here I'm guiding you. So replace this text with the 2 or 3 sentence description of the unit written so that your colleagues who might not be familiar with your content area can understand it, i.e. me. I'm not an expert in all content areas, so please tell me what it's about. Your grade level, approximate duration. So is it 3 weeks? Is it 10 days? Is it 6 weeks? Instructional objectives or standards. You can likely just kind of copy and paste those. And then here's the scope and sequence. Now, scope and sequence is just giving me a big overview of all of the lessons that are in your unit. Now, I do not want all of your lesson plans. I just want the title of each lesson and a 1 or 2 sentence description of what that is. So when I teach systems of equations in algebra or algebra 1 or 8th grade math, there's probably like 8 or 10 lessons in that whole unit of study. There's the introduction lesson, and then we go step by step of what those are. I usually end with a summative assessment of their understanding of systems of equations. And so you're just giving me the lesson title and copy and paste as you need to keep going with that document for your scope and sequence. Now, last thing, the 3 lessons that you are differentiating, I want you to highlight those lessons using the highlight feature and tell me the element that you're differentiating and the strategy. So for example, algebraic systems of equations, lesson 3, I'm decided to differentiate the process by compacting. So that'll just give me a heads up as to what I'm going to see next in those 3 lessons. So out of your scope and sequence, I should see 3 of those lessons highlighted. And good teaching practice would be to, maybe scatter which ones are differentiated. You don't just want the first 3 lessons in your unit to be differentiated, but none of your other ones are. Sometimes I'll just make sure that at least 1 a week has some strong differentiation strategies. So by highlighting them, I hopefully that will also show you kind of if they're too concentrated or too close to one another. If you keep scrolling down, here are your differentiated lesson plans. There's a template for each one. So differentiated lesson plan number 1, 25 points. Your title, your description, your objectives or standards. The element of differentiation, you can just type in the word content or the word product. You can type in that you're doing it by readiness or interest, and then your strategy. Now here, I want you to replace this text with 5 or more sentence rationale that addresses how the element of differentiation, the student traits, and the strategy all support one another. You should be making really good decisions of why this certain strategy works for this element of differentiation based on all of the study that you've done thus far. And then as part of this, I want you to color the statements where you have cited your course readings in purple. So provide some supplemental support for your rationale with your course readings. So that can be your textbook, that can be some of the supplemental readings that you've been given. But I want you to highlight or color code those in purple so I can see where they are, and hopefully also you will see how you are providing evidence for your decision making in that paragraph. There's a section for your pre-assessment. So this is where you're placing this text with a description of how you will use pre-assessment to guide your planning of the lesson plan. There's additional description there. And a lesson plan overview. Replace this text with a step-by-step summary of your lesson plan. Please make sure that you are detailed enough so that your description demonstrates your level of understanding for differentiating for gifted students. Please designate the ways in which you're differentiating by gifted students by coloring the text blue. So, what this tells me is that when I read your lesson plan, I should see mostly black and blue text. The black text is going to tell me just the general things about the lesson or the things that all of the students are doing. But if gifted students are doing something different, which is what they should be doing if it's differentiated well, highlight or color code those statements in blue so that I can really see where you are purposefully supporting the needs of gifted students in your classroom. Okay? And then you have a post-assessment. How are you going to assess or evaluate whether or not your differentiation strategy was helpful or effective? So that is your lesson plan template. And then here's lesson plan number 2 template. It's the exact same thing. And same thing for lesson plan number 3, exact same thing. I do want you to follow this template. And I know it's not like the best template for you right now, or you may record your lessons in a completely different format. But for right now, for just the purpose of this activity, it will help streamline your thoughts to me as to how you are understanding differentiating for gifted students. If you just submit a random unit of study for me, it's very difficult for me to weave through and like try to read your mind as to where you were going with certain things. And so using this template is just really helpful. The last page is for your reflection, 10 points. Using those guiding questions, please include your list of references. Now, at the very bottom, looks like it's hiding because that's a big space. At the very bottom is your rubric and self-assessment. So this is how I am grading your instructional methods portfolio. I want you to grade yourself when you submit this project to me. So unit overview, you can just highlight if you think you get a 10. I'm just going to go up here and highlight that I got 10 points. Whoops, not text. There's the highlight tool. And then I'll type in 10 points here and then go on and such. Also use this as a way to guide you as you're making your differentiated lesson plans from the start. So your element, trait, and strategy rationale. I'm looking at your pre-assessment, your lesson plan description, your post-assessment, your reflection, your grammar, and then tally up your total points there. So be honest, I'm not going to assume that if everybody gives themselves 100, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But take note. It doesn't mean that you always have to. Oh, I don't want to say it that way. Just try and give yourself a clear self-assessment and give yourself some time that if you self-assess yourself and you want to go back in and make some adjustments in order to kind of bump up the rigor or the quality of this assignment, that's going to be in your favor. So that is your instructional methods portfolio overview. And then from there, last little bit, that's it. Have a great week. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I hope to see you guys soon online, and have a wonderful rest of your week.